Today on Reservations Required, discover why Smith's is the hottest new destination for Manhattan's hippest food lovers. Plus, Ed Levine meets the man behind a culinary empire, famed chef and restaurateur Daniel Boulud. And later, Ed and I size up the menu at Smith's. In downtown New York City, new restaurant Smith's is making a name for itself in trendy Greenwich Village. Restaurateurs Danny Abrams and Cindy Smith have individually amassed a top-notch list of eateries, places like the Red Cat, Raoul's, and the Mermaid Inn. Now they've brought their magic together to create a new local fave called Smith's. Do you have a skill with finding places in the next up-and-coming neighborhood?
I think we just find places that are inexpensive at the time, and then luckily the neighborhood grows around us. Really, the places I've always tried to build are first and foremost neighborhood restaurants. So if we cater to the neighborhood, we do a good job with that, I think people will come from everywhere.
Not only are you partners in business, but...
He's my boyfriend.
Oh my God!
We're partners in life. We can say that.
We can. It's okay.
We own a business together, we own a house together, we live together. We're
a couple.
A couple.
How does that work with working together and living together? Because I am married to someone who I used to work with, and we figured out that we couldn't work together. Otherwise, we wouldn't stay married.
Well, I find it very easy. She's just always right in everything we come up with.
She nods because...
Like my dad said, the key to a healthy marriage is to wake up, turn to your right, and say, I'm sorry. So I kind of do that in the morning.
But how does that philosophy translate into the actual practice of creating and running a restaurant together?
He's allowed me to really create what I think this restaurant should be. He's very easygoing, very laid back. And the areas that I think Danny knows best in, that I decide that Danny knows best in, then he's allowed to make the decisions in those areas.
Allowed to.
Allowed.
Now, what do you think
he wouldn't point that out.
I can't help it. What do you think your strong suits are, each of you? What do you think you kind of bring to the table at Smith's?
Her attention to detail is about 1,000,000 times better than mine. I think that my strong quality has always been a front of the house person, talking to people, greeting people, working the floor. I think she's much better with service, with training, with, well, just about everything.
But something they both agreed on was the person they wanted to take the helm of their kitchen, Chef Pablo Romero. With a resume that boasts iconic restaurants like Boulet and Jean-Georges, Chef Romero offered the ideal background for the contemporary American eatery. How involved were you with the process of creating the menu at Smith's?
I say 99%. I had some advice by some very good people. Then I just put in the flavors.
And what are the flavors of a meal at Smith's? I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna sit down, and what can I expect here?
It's very natural. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm just doing things that work, natural flavors, classics, with my interpretation, and also emphasizing whatever's in season, whatever is at its prime.
And what are the ingredients that you're really excited about to cook with at Smith's?
The vegetables. Right now we're doing Brussels sprouts, butternut squash puree, and just to have that freedom to choose whatever's on season and do something good with it, it's pretty exciting.
The design concept is a key ingredient to creating the laid-back vibe at Smith's. Designer Mark Zeff carefully chose elements that would evoke the comfortable feel of an Austrian cafe. When it came to designing Smith's, what was that process like?
We looked through a lot of books and we talked about things that we both liked, and we kept coming back to not only comfortable and accessible, but pretty and feminine, and something European, a little bit European about it.
What do you think are some of the highlights of Mark Zeff's design for Smith's?
I think my favorite element in the space is probably the slightly vaulted ceiling with the mirror inlay. I think it's beautiful, it adds a lot to the space, and obviously it's the one thing that everyone notices when they walk into the room.
It's really a super nice detail. It's unexpected.
Everywhere you see mirror in the restaurant, it's antique mirror. I think that it adds a sense of comfort somehow to the room.
I'd say for me, I think that there's so much attention to detail in his design that one might not notice on first look. If you look at the ironwork in between the banquettes, it matches the ironwork over here, it matches the ironwork in the back. If you look at the design in the front room, the stencil, that's part of our logo.
But it's Smith's intimate bar, unexpectedly tucked in the back of the restaurant, that's making a reputation for itself. Somebody said that your bar is the kind of place you'd want to go to if you were having an affair. What, do you think that's almost one of those things where you're like, is that a compliment? Or is that something that maybe we want to steer clear of? What do you think about that?
I think it's a compliment because it suggests to me that people think that it's a cozy, sexy, private place to have a romantic drink or to be with friends.
I think it's a great compliment. It's a great place to bring a first date, or if you just want to be left alone, or there's so much that you can do back there, and the fact that it's not in front and people are walking by, it kind of makes you feel like you're not in Manhattan, so we like that.
If you are cooking at home or I'm cooking at home, what's one thing that you think you can't live without?
Salt.
Everyone can have salt. What's your favorite salt?
I like the Levine sea salt. It's great for finishing a dish.
There are so many delicious sounding things on your menu. Do you have a favorite dish?
My favorite dish is the Brussels sprouts.
That is a dish that a lot of people have issues with because growing up, no Brussels sprouts, ew, that's disgusting. I love them. And you love them that much, huh?
I love them.
So the perfect Brussels sprouts are within reach. What do we do?
You want to heat up the pan first, then you'll put in the oil.
Take a bunch of them?
Take a bunch of them, a handful.
Okay.
You want to hear that noise?
Ah, that's a good noise. That's the sound of things cooking.
Yes.
Oh, and then you do, oh.
Then
Can I
you
try
do
that toss?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, I'm so gonna fail. Okay.
There you go.
Hey!
Easy. You want to add a little oil.
But it's
maybe
olive oil,
stuff.
so it's good for you.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, I usually cook my Brussels sprouts whole, which I don't think this is a smarter way to do it.
This is just take the bottom off and tear off the leaves.
Right.
Still stays crunchy, stays green. When you cook
The
them
green-
raw, they turn brown.
Yeah.
Because you gotta cook them for a long time. So,
And then really bitter. I think that's my, oh, yeah.
so we want to maintain the color.
Yeah?
Right at this point, when they're like half wilted, you add the shallots.
Very, very French
Yes.
salads.
Technique.
Ah, technique. Okay, a little baleine salt.
Salt. You want to season it from above, because if you do it close, you'll get salt in some leaves and some.
Get the nooks and crannies will pick it up. This way you get it everywhere.
Can you smell it? Whoops. Little action.
The dish is topped off with toasted almonds to give it some crunch. Tarragon, parsley, and chives are added for extra flavor. And finally, a last dash of olive oil gives the Brussels sprouts some shine. Ooh, I like that. I got my fork at the ready. Okay, is it a good sign that I'm salivating?
Yes.
If your mouth waters, you know something's good. Can I take a taste?
Sure.
So the first thing that impresses me is the great color, all the different greens, and the herbs that you put in. That is a good
What do you
dish.
think?
The crunch of the almonds, the crunch of the Brussels sprouts, which is surprising. What's amazing is this is a dish that I think people might not necessarily think to order because they don't think about Brussels sprouts, but people should be thinking about Brussels sprouts.
Yeah.
I'm
Something
thinking
they
Brussels
can do
sprouts.
at home. People-friendly. People-friendly Brussels sprouts.
You are the man who makes people-friendly Brussels sprouts.
Yes, that's my title. Coming up, Ed and I see if the food at Smith's is more novel than its name. But first, Ed goes one-on-one with a hotshot chef.
He's the king of a culinary empire, and his pioneering ways have helped reinvent fine dining in America. He is Daniel Boulud. This celebrated four-star chef and restaurateur has raked in some of the world's top awards, including the prestigious French Legion of Honor. His 6 renowned restaurants across the country, popular cookbooks, gourmet food products, and trailblazing TV show have placed him squarely at the forefront of the culinary landscape. And though it looks like Daniel has the Midas touch, there is definitely a method to his madness.
Why have you been so careful in terms of starting new restaurants? A lot of other chefs in your position, they consult with 50 restaurants around the world. They open and close restaurants faster than envelopes.
Well, I think, yes. You know, I started cooking 37 years ago, and I gradually did things my way, and I'm very pleased and happy with what I've done. I'm not the kind of restaurateur who need to expand in a wide sort of rampage. I'm a very cautious man.
You like to be in control. How do you sort of reconcile that need you have for control with the realization that you can't do that if you're going to open up?
Exactly. Well, that's the thing is then, at the same time, I realized that I cannot be everywhere and drive everyone crazy in a way. But also, first, I think it's important to build a team.
Everybody's ready for service?
Is the complicity, the trust, and also the fact that you know that those people care and will do it in the best interest of the company, the house, myself.
And that philosophy has really paid off. That's why his stable of thriving restaurants includes a world-renowned 4-star French landmark, a sleek modern bistro, and a Vegas brasserie that evokes a Mediterranean seaside resort.
I am not the kind of restaurateur who does cookie cutter, where, okay, I have 10 of those plates and I know exactly what to do. Here, it's again a creation, and it's different than all the other restaurants.
But each place does have common characteristics.
Yes.
Right? And what would those be?
First and foremost, we buy the best ingredient. We don't argue on getting cheaper for lesser quality. Also, service for us is very important. The service is personal, is genuine, is sincere. I'm always grateful to anyone passing the door and coming to our restaurant, and we got to make those people feel special.
And the people passing through the door of Daniel's latest venture, Bar Boulud, will experience yet another side of this multifaceted restaurateur.
I always wanted to do something where I feel it's finally Daniel on the casual side. As much as I am known as Daniel for being the fancy chef, the fancy French chef, I come from a country background. I am from Lyon. I have a lot of passion for this region, for the food, for the wine. And I think that's the idea of Bar Boulud, where food and wine meet in a very casual way, but in a very serious way.
So serious that Daniel sought out Sylvain Gadon, a protege of the most famous charcutier in France, to create Bar Boulud's exceptional terrines and pâtés.
Sylvain is going to make the boudin blanc. Charcuterie basically is just the process of blending the meat together and season them and creating those wonderful texture and rich flavor of a pâté.
It's like pork ice cream.
I'm sure we could do a nice ice cream out of it, but I'd rather put it in a casing and cook it. So voila.
This is the food of your soul, right?
Very much. You know, if I had to make one restaurant to keep me just happy myself, I think it'll be a place where friends, family, customer can come very often, and that's the real soul of a bistro.
What's your recipe for overall success in this business?
For me, as I say, you know, never took it for granted, worked very, very hard.
Ordering 1 crab, 1 pea soup, 1 mashed salad, after that 2 paupières de cod.
Of course, keep everyone motivated. I want to make sure I deliver the best product, but at the same time, I am honorable with it.
Daniel Boulud is undeniably the first 4-star French chef to celebrate American ingredients utilizing French technique. And it's led to more than a few legendary dishes, including the foie gras and black truffle burger at DB Bistro Moderne and the braised short ribs at his 4-star restaurant, Daniel.
How do you keep a four-star restaurant menu fresh?
I mean, it's a teamwork. I think, as I say, all my restaurants are very chef-driven. So if the chef cannot cook as good as me, he can't be the chef. And so that together, me and the chef, then we can really do things fantastic.
I know from knowing many of your former chefs
Yes.
that you often ask them to create dishes on the fly.
Oh,
or
absolutely.
Tasting menus.
Spontaneously, because the market brought something we don't have.
Doesn't it add to the pressure?
A lot, but there's nothing better for a chef than the adrenaline of creating something new, and I still get the rush out of it.
It's no wonder that people who've had this passionate mentor have gone on to become some of today's hottest chefs. Names like David Chang, who's GQ Magazine's Chef of the Year, and Danielle's former executive chef, Andrew Carmelini, who now has his own acclaimed restaurant, A Voce.
When I choose Andrew for Café Boulud, I choose him because he had a diversified background, and I think I gave him a wonderful stage to be able to prove the world that he could do it. Of course, he became best new chef 2001, I think. Young chefs today, I bring so much support to them to help them start up. Then I didn't have that myself when I started. I didn't have a corporate chef to hold my hand. I can offer a lot of security today than I didn't have myself when I was younger.
So you mean if I come to work here tomorrow, will I be the best new chef?
I think you're gonna have to work very hard at this one.
All right. What happens when somebody leaves? You must be proud of where they're heading, but it also must be hard.
Yes, but at the same time, the last thing you want is somebody who is getting too, I mean, you want a chef to be motivated to work for you. And there's nothing worse than a chef who is unmotivated. I will always support someone who is very correct with me and very straight and very honest with me.
After nearly 40 years of cooking, it's Danielle's honest love of food that drives him. And that's why he's still one of the most exciting chefs in the country.
You've created this culinary empire. How far do you see yourself taking it?
I don't know. I take it as it comes, and we see if we can be excited about it. But I don't want to take it too far. I mean, I'm not going public any day, and I think I just love what I do, and I want to make sure that everyone working around me make a good living, and everything I do, my customer feels that I'm doing the right thing for them. And that's the most important thing at the end of the day.
Coming up, Ed and I put the menu at Smith's to the test. Welcome back to Reservations Required and New York's latest noteworthy newcomer, Smith's. This downtown restaurant has all the ingredients for success, including not one but two restaurateurs with a proven track record and a chef with experience and ambition. But does all this know-how make for first-class food? Ed joined me at Smith's to find out. We look like we have an all-American menu for an all-American name, Smith's.
Yeah, this is, you know, it's kind of like of the moment. You know, there's a lot of seasonal ingredients.
I'm curious to ask him a little bit about this menu because there are some things that I can definitely see that I'm interested in. I love the sound of this little baby squid action with lemon confit and
What
pancetta.
about steamed egg with creamy polenta and gorgonzola? How bad could that be?
Do you know something? Why is it that people don't like gorgonzola? Because it's the most delicious cheese
I love
ever.
gorgonzola. Little gorgonzola, little pear.
Oh.
I could open a restaurant.
Now, what else? What else looks good to you?
Of course, the pork chop always catches my eye. The lamb saddle. I want to know what corsetti is. What is homemade corsetti with seasonal mushrooms?
That, I don't know, but it sounds good. Oh, I see someone who can tell us.
Wow, how are you?
Doing good? Corsetti, you want to know about
Yeah,
corsetti?
I do.
It's homemade pasta. In Italy, they used to do it by villages and families. It's got the shape of a coin, and then it gets a stamp, usually an initial, a name, so.
As far as the entrees go, I'm a little torn between this grilled lobster and then the striped bass. But what do you think? Which one do you think I should go with?
I would love to do the lobster for you. It's,
The chef wants to do lobster for me.
I think it's a great dish and it's very popular here.
All
Okay.
right.
And then what about you, Ed? I can
I'm
tell
gonna
what
go
you're gonna have.
seasonal, maybe with the pork chop with the celery root and the apple puree and little braised pork cheeks on the side. And then I think I'm gonna have the steamed egg.
Okay.
Because you need a little more cholesterol.
You need a little
okay.
more cholesterol, and I'm with the gorgonzola and the Anson Mills polenta in case I
Cap
lose my
it off.
teeth. That's a perfect dish.
We have foam here.
Foam.
What
Foam
is-
is on the plate.
What is
Foam
in this
is
dish?
in the house. We have polenta and we have eggs.
Oh,
that.
look, oh.
That looks good, right?
So basically that was a barely cooked egg
Yeah.
and a bunch of polenta. That is basically my ideal breakfast right there.
Exactly. This is a brunch.
Are you making soup now?
This is a brunch menu item.
That is, but I'm curious, you gotta taste it.
All right.
Tell me what you feel.
I feel comforted. I feel comforted by the polenta and feel comforted by the soft-boiled egg.
Do you feel like it's like a hug in a plate?
It's a hug on a plate,
Oh.
not a hug in a plate.
Oh,
Right? That's
holy.
good.
It's like the creamiest grits you've ever had, or when you put cornbread into the skillet before it's set,
Yeah.
like that.
Well, that's the thing with these Anson Mills.
Oh.
Because they're coarsely ground, you really taste the corn.
And just the right amount of salt. He said his favorite ingredient to use in the kitchen is some sea salt.
He's with me. What do you have over there?
So I've got the baby squid appetizer with some pancetta, which so it's gonna get smoky and it's gonna be some seafoody flavors.
This is kind of sophisticated.
I'm a sophisticated girl.
Exactly.
You know what I realized is the thing that really sets this dish to 11?
What?
Lemon confit. Taste. You never think of pairing pancetta with lemon, but it's kind of a great, really novel way of making it fresh
Yeah.
and not feel too heavy. Because if this dish was just pancetta and the squid, it would feel a little bit heavy.
it's nice.
This makes it a little bit sharp, a little bright, a little almost
Yeah.
like a, good for a girl to have.
So what's interesting is that this is all comfort food. It's food that we're familiar with, and yet it's presented in a really visually appealing way. So it's not just like a pile of macaroni and cheese or whatever. You've got that gratin that's really beautiful. And I have pork cheeks.
Oh.
And then there's green. I just want you to
Because
tell my wife
I will
that
acknowledge
there's
that with your
something
wife.
green
Yes.
on my plate.
This is beautifully presented lobster in a very modern way. Big white plate. Very nicely done, very minimal, very plated.
Very plated, the lobster's out of the shell.
This means business.
Folded neatly. The lobster is folded. Have you ever tried to fold a lobster?
They always wrestle me when I try to, they always fight back.
All right, let's see.
Okay. That's how much I love you. Look at this.
Wow. And it doesn't look like that. It looks like the lobster's really succulent.
I can tell you that I just had some and it is succulent. You know why? Because they reheat it in butter.
This is basically a pork chop.
May I?
Yeah, please. It's very tasty with the apple and the celery root and the mustard.
This is almost a virtuous pork chop. It's very lean.
It's very lean. In fact, it's too lean. But it's got really good flavor because of how he prepared it. This pork cheek is good, man. You got to try this.
I can't believe you're willing to share your pork cheek. Have we come?
I know.
Have we come to this point?
We've really gotten to that point.
Thank you, sir. The apple with the pork cheek,
Good, right?
the crunch and the tartness, that's great. All this talking, you made me forget about my amazing cauliflower gratin. This is literally a cross between a cauliflower gratin and a fondue.
Yeah, I mean it's like a kid's food, only the flavors are not kids' flavors.
This is all grown up, baby.
Now I have this these courgetti, these coins.
It reminds me of the beef stroganoff my mom made when I was a kid.
It is. It's a very stroganoffy, mushroomy, creamy thing.
So I have some panna cotta here, which is flavored with pumpkin. Crunchy, creamy, a little bit like the pumpkin pie that you grew up with, but more sophisticated. But this is really interesting, the idea of putting a really free-form base. It's kind of like doing like a deconstructed crust for the panna cotta, which you normally don't get a crust, you just get it in a bowl, so there's nice crispiness to this.
And this is a pretty standard lemon tart.
What do you think?
I would say that it looks like
You're crazy, you don't even get all of the stuff off your fork
no,
before you
I
get into the
do.
next
I'm
thing.
ready. Not bad.
That one, I like, very tart. The tartness is definitely there. I feel like the crust is a little bit soggier than I would
It
like.
is, and it's a little thicker than perhaps it should be.
You're just sad because I got a better dessert than you did.
A 3-course meal with a bottle of wine at Smith's will cost between $60 and $75 per person.
I feel like the food here is honest and heartfelt, and I think honest food is food that's harder to find than we might think.
At the end of a hard day, when you've had everything thrown at you, it's great to walk in somewhere and know that someone's going to take care of you.
It's true.
And this is the restaurant to do that in.
They do that at Smith.
Hallelujah.
Today on Reservations Required, experience L'Impero, a sexy and sophisticated restaurant renowned for alta cucina, the delicious and somewhat decadent cuisine of Italy's nobility. Plus, Ed Levine finds our tastemakers advancing the vegetarian menus at some posh and very trend-setting restaurants.
Pharrell Williams here.
Hi, I'm Joy Bryant,
I'm Eric Ripper,
I'm Tom Colicchio.
I'm Dr. Frank Lipman, the host of On the Table,
the host of Across the Board.
Host of Artist Talk.
Host of Hooked Up.
Host of the show, Be Well Week, Be Well Weekend, on the Reserve channel.
It's only on Reserve.
Did you know that you can follow my show on social media sites like Facebook?
Follow us on Twitter.
If you're a fan of my show, hit the like button.
All of the above.
Share me with your friends.
Treat yourself. Check out a new episode of my show, Hooked Up.
And if you want to leave comments, feedbacks, ideas, whatever, love to hear from you. Leave a comment.
And if you don't want to miss the show, be sure to subscribe.
The one that's like down here, or is it here? Somewhere down here.
Thanks for watching the Reserve channel.
Only on YouTube. Throw caution to the wind and ask yourself what rules.